people on the internet, what's up? So I decided to do a review on Skylanders Spyro's Adventure for the 3DS because a couple of people were asking about it, you know, how good it is, and so I'm going to do a review on it. So a lot of people just seem to hate Skylanders just because of the fact that, you know, you're essentially buying physical DLC for $8 a pop, and the fact that Spyro looks really dumb, which I don't really think he looks that bad. Yeah, never mind. So let's talk about the premise and gameplay of this game. So I'm just gonna start up a new file for you guys. And as soon as the game starts up, you can watch a choppy animation with some decent voice acting. And basically you find out that there's this place called the Radiant Isles where the Skylanders are, and one day evil mask named Hector came, and you have to find these things called Radiance Crystals to stop him. And so there you can see Hector. This game has a completely different story than its console counterparts, and it also has completely different gameplay, but I'm just going to go ahead and skip this. And as soon as you start up the game, you're thrown into a level with a Skylander. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. Alright, so up here we have our Portal Power and Dark Spyro. So, press the Portal Power to turn on. And then your Skylander will be in the game, which is pretty much the main premise of the game. So this game is a platformer, and so, of course, it basically consists of jumping and attacking enemies. And unlike the console versions, you can actually jump in this game, which, you know, I actually kind of like this game a little bit better for that reason. I mean, what genius thought of jumping in a platformer? Wait a minute. No, I kid the platformers that don't include jumping. But anyway, the main goal of each level is to collect Radiance Crystals, and you get these by doing various tasks such as getting to the end of the level, gathering Radiance, which are like coins in Mario, and they also act as experience. Or you can bash X amount of treasure chests, or kill X amount of enemies, or simply have the right element of Skylander. And it can get a little bit repetitive, but overall, it's still pretty good for a kid's game, so the gameplay and premise are decent. However, when it comes down to it, this is essentially just a platformer with button mashing. I mean, the combat really takes little to no skill whatsoever. And health recovery items are easily found, so, you know, it's not like it's really that difficult. I mean, I'm pressing the attack button. Yeah, that was really hard. I mean, I'm not criticizing the game because it's for kids, but, you know, it's just something I thought I'd mention. Graphically, this game is alright, but sometimes it can be a little bit choppy. I mean, just look at this. Looks like Dynaring's having a seizure. But the environments are pretty nice, as you can see, but the thing is, in this game, when you attack enemies, you're pretty much just gonna wail on them like this, and it can be kind of hard to tell what you're doing, and it doesn't really help that the animations are kind of choppy either. And the graphics are alright, but they're just not great, and I like the character models, but the animation's just so choppy, so the graphics will get probably a C+. I mean, they're just not that good. Sound-wise, I think this game does its job pretty well. I mean, the effects are alright. The sound effects are pretty good. And the music pretty much sets the mood as good as a game like this should. And the sound is pretty good for a kid's game. Alright, watch this. I've just sent a rocket at Hector, which should be the final blow. Watch his death scene. Yep, no, I'm just kidding. He didn't actually die. But seriously, though, I mean, could they not have done a better job with that? I mean, that's some pretty cool presentation right there. And I'm going to show you guys the ending cutscene also. Okay, watch this. Just look at how choppy it is. I mean, I mean, it was pretty well rendered and everything, but my god, it's so choppy. Get it? Because there's a Skylander in the game called cool explosion. Choppy. Shut up, my mom says I'm funny. She's probably lying. And also the main hub area can be a little bit confusing. I mean, it has all the different worlds from left to right, and in order of unlocking them from left to right, then it's World 4, World 2, World 1, World 3, then World 5. Where is the thought process behind that? And so, this game's presentation and sound gets C+ as well, because it's a little bit confusing, and, you know, the rendering was done well, but everything's just so choppy, but the sound is good for a kid's game. But one thing that this game did get right is its controls. They're exactly what they should be in a 3D platformer. So you move around with the circle pad, you attack with Y. Y is your primary attack, and X is your secondary attack, which is usually a long-range attack. And B is jump, and you can double jump, and A is dash, and it doesn't really work too well with the other buttons, but you can press the L shoulder button, and that'll work the same. And you just tap on the touchscreen to switch between your different Skylanders that you have. So it's kind of like a tag team style of character swapping. So the controls control pretty good, and they get an A-. Fun and value-wise, this game can be pretty fun, although since really most of what you're doing is pressing the attack button over and over again, it can get kind of boring if you play it in a long session. But otherwise, it's pretty fun to play if you're like 7 years old. But the value is what I'm not really sure is there, because this game costs the same amount as all of the console versions, and it does have a different portal power, although I can't imagine it would be more expensive. And, you know, you're paying $30 more than a normal 3DS game would be. On the PS3 and 360 version, $70 is only $10 more than a AAA game like Mass Effect 3 or something. But, you know, you're paying $30 extra, and this is a handheld game. And, you know, the game isn't really that handheld, since you'll have to switch out Skylanders, although it's not a necessity, because you can just have the two that you already have and take them with you. But, I don't know, the value is just not there, but the fun is still pretty fun. So, yep, that makes a lot of sense. And so for fun and value, this game also gets a C+. Difficulty-wise, this game is pretty easy, seeing as, you know, most of your attacking comes from pressing buttons, although if there's one thing I did have problems with, it's that on some levels, you're supposed to not eat any food, and I'll just be so busy, like, attacking enemies, and I'll accidentally run into food, and I'll have to start over the level, and that can get a bit frustrating, because you didn't mean to eat it, but, you know, it blends in so much with the environment, you just can't really help it. But the difficulty is pretty easy, and kids will love this game, even though they probably won't be able to afford to buy a bunch of Skylanders, and so the target age range is ages 5 and up. So overall, as a great kids game, this game gets a score of a B- because it has a bunch of little hiccups and flaws in it, but it's still a lot of fun to play. I had a bunch of fun playing it, and, you know, it's a shame that the figures cost so much, because, I mean, really they don't even cost that much, but if you're like a 5-year-old, then like 25 cents is a lot to you. But, I mean, kids would enjoy collecting the figures, but the problem is, this is really something that it takes an adult to be able to afford, which is a shame. And that's really all I have to say. This game is a lot of fun, and if you already play the console versions and you have a 3DS, then this version will be well worth it, because 2 of the Skylanders, Dark Spyro, is exclusive to the 3DS one, and Igniter has not been released as on its own yet, and so if you just want those 2 Skylanders plus the 3DS version, then you're getting a pretty good deal. And also, Stealth Elf is pretty rare. So, I mean, the 3DS version is very different from the other ones, but it has some different Skylanders that will make it worth it if you already own Skylanders. So, thanks for watching my review. Tell me what you guys think of this game if you have it. Tell me what you thought of the review. Like, dislike, comment, whatever. Bye, people of the internet.